So we are missing Wyatt, Meadow, Adrian, Allie, Rylan, Cash, Michaela, Robert. There's somebody. Wyatt. Good morning, Wyatt. All right. Science today, continuing with our lesson about a cool drink of water. All right, so number one, or first part, ideas about water sources. This is a book by the National Geographic called A Cool Drink of Water. What does the title tell you about the book? Thank you, Wyatt and Bentley, for having your cameras on.
That he's alone in a forest trying to survive, and all he has to drink is the lake water.
Okay, good. Any other ideas out there? Go ahead, Isabel.
I think that since we're learning about water, it's well, obviously, it evolves around water.
Yeah, that is true. Anybody else? How does the title, what does the title tell you about the book? Bentley? Is your mic not working right now? That's all right. I see you're probably typing it in. Yes, I noticed a nice haircut, Wyatt. So a couple of you already talked about the cover while Bentley's possibly sharing, I don't know. Where do we get our drinking water? Come on, some of you quiet people, step up, step out of your comfort zone. Where do we get our water? Madison.
Either like in a plastic bottle or the sink sometimes, and people drink out of the sink.
Okay, Sage.
We get our water from a well, the faucet, and bottles of water.
Good. Michaela put her hand down, so you must have said some of her stuff that she was thinking of. Why is it important for us to read this book? I mean, we haven't even read it yet, but why do you think it might be important for us to read this book?
Because it probably will tell us about the life of people who don't have purified water.
Good thinking, Sage. Bentley says people might have to drink through the rivers. All right, good. So I need to plug in my document camera. We will look at the captions real quick before we move on in today's lesson. Maybe. I'm a little worried that that is not in here. It is not. This is what happens when I have to lug all of my teaching materials home every weekend because I work all weekend to try and get stuff ready for the week so I can keep up. Okay, it's not in there either. So that's right. I will read them. I just wanted you to be able to see the pictures as well. So actually, we're going to do the listen to the book first and then the captions. I could do it the other way around, but I really want you to, while you do the watch the video that is listening to the book, I want you to guess where in the world they are for each picture that you see. So for each picture that you see while the book is being read, I want you to guess where in the world do you think they are, and then I'll read the captions, which give us a clue to that, okay? So let me get to the link. And after this, you're gonna want to open up your Nearpod. Okay. All right, here you go. All right, sounds like most of you are done, so hopefully you took some guesses. And I will share some information. So on the front cover, that is actually from Tidore Island, Indonesia. Meeting his reflection in a pool of water, a thirsty boy leans over for a welcome sip. In Indonesia's tropical rainforest, rainfall can be as high as 120 inches per year, making water plentiful for all. Sage, I don't know if you're having some glitches, but there's 2 of you on my screen right now. I don't know if it's open twice or not. These go in order. Yes. So this picture of the guy with the mountains in the background, that is the Rocky Mountains of Canada. Water running off a glacier provides frosty refreshment for a hiker standing on a layer of ice. Melting snow and ice flow from these mountains to the lakes and rivers below. For this picture here, That is in Agra, India. In a practice older than the Taj Mahal itself, a boy scoops water from the Yamuna River. India is home to 1/6 of the world's population, and its many rivers help supply water to its people. It's the reflection, Lanaya. Drawn from a well. That is in Aran Islands, Galway, Ireland. His face ruddy from years of outdoor chores, a man hauls up water for himself and his cows. The well collects fresh groundwater from beneath the island's soil. Then you had this picture of the boys collecting water from that's dripping off the roof. That is in Pokhara, Nepal. Sheltered under the roof to stay dry, a boy fills his water jug. During the summer monsoon or rainy season, rainwater flows easily from the metal roof into a gutter pipe. There was the boy drinking out of the fountain. That was in Rome, Italy. Cash, what do you mean about quieter? Can you hear something that I can't, or you mean them talking in the chat?
Them talking in the chat. I can hear like a little ding every single time they put something in.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would prefer them to not be in the chat right now either, because I think it is distracting from the information a little bit. So then there was the 2 pails straight from the tap. And that is from Botswana. I'm not going to read all of the captions because it can take a while, but it is interesting. The one from the pump is from Thailand. Okay. The ones stored in shade in the pots are from Oman. You probably have never even heard of that place before. The pitcher of ice was from Maryland in the United States. The buckets, the guy carrying the buckets, is from the Yunnan province in China. The ladies carrying the brass pots on their head is from India. The plastic jugs are from Des Moines, Iowa, here in the United States. Where's this bottle? So this picture where this guy's drinking from a plastic bottle, that's on the Arizona-Utah border. And then this guy drinking from a burlap bag is in the desert in Australia. And then this guy drinking from a thin tin cup is actually from here in the United States in Oregon. And let's try 1 or 2 more. So this mother feeding her child is from India. This guy giving water to his horse is from Kuwait or Iraq. And I must have missed some, but okay, cool. So back to the lesson. I mean, that is part of it, but so now that we've actually read it, why do you think this book is important? So we answered that the first time. Now we're going to answer it one more time.
It educates us on what people have to drink on other places on the world.
Excellent. Lanaya?
It's that you can drink any water anywhere as long as it's like not dirty.
Okay.
And like,
All right, let's go ahead and turn our cameras on for an attendance picture really quick. Give me a look like you are super parched. If you don't know what parched means, it means thirsty. Madison got a haircut sometime in the past, recent past. Looks nice. All right, here we go. I'm so thirsty. I'm dying of thirst. Meadow, Ryan, cameras. Thank you. Guess those people who won't turn on their cameras won't get the attendance, and we have to work harder in order to prove that they've attended. All right, you should have your Nearpod open now. We're just talking about for the picture at least. So there's a collaborate board where you're going to put what are some pollutants that can enter our water. And then in the Nearpod, you're also going to take a poll. How many gallons of water? Remember that jug, that large jug that you saw? There, I'll go grab one. While you're pulling up your Nearpod and doing the collaborate board, how many gallons of water do you think you use a day? And then what was the open-ended question? I cannot remember off the top of my head, but it's in there. So pull up that Nearpod. Yes, Isabel.
Never mind, I forgot.
Okay. Okay, and real quick, this is a gallon jug. So when I ask the question in the poll, how many gallons of water do you think? This would be 1 gallon. Good question, Bentley. Conserve is to like save. And that's the open-ended question, isn't it? Should we conserve water or not? Or conserve water, why or why not? So when we say conserve, especially in that context, we mean, should we limit the amount of water we use? Should we try to save water usage or not? To not conserve would mean like to not think about it and just use whatever we want because there's plenty. Okay, I'm not trying to rush anyone. You want a good quality thought to add to the collaborate board. Look at the poll and put your reasonings of why or why not should we conserve, should we save on water, and be conscientious about how much we use. So then slide 6, we are looking at an interactive map. So if you click on the map, it will take you to a website. Let me go back because I feel like there was a question. What? Oh. Huh. Okay. So on this interactive map that's coming up, there's a lot of really cool things you can look at. Okay, so you can double click and zoom in, or you can use the plus and minus to zoom in. You can drag the map around, but we're kind of
Miss
focusing. Yes.
You're not sharing.
Thank you. Well, you should have it in your slides anyway, but I did want to be sharing, so thank you. So you can drag it around. We're focusing on the Great Lakes because we're talking about water, and aren't we surrounded by quite a bit of water here in Michigan? Thanks for the head nods. Yes, yes, we are. So thinking about the chart from before, how much of that water that's actually drinkable by rivers, lakes, and springs is represented by the Great Lakes, okay? So we'll be looking at that, but I wanted to show you up here at the top too, there's a lot of things you can do in here. So you could go to base map, and if you're really interested in lots of different things, you could look at the street view, the topographical view, a navigation view, a night view, terrain. There's no oceans in that area. The National Geographic view of the map, a charted territory, newspaper, mid-century. So there's like so many different things. I'm going to go to the United States topographical map. Okay, so this is actually showing more about what the land is like. Yes, we are thinking about how much water is there too, but I'm just showing you that there's a lot of different things you could also look at if you were curious, not that you have to. I think it was terrain that I did the other day. So when you have mountains, it will be bigger there. Okay. But I thought, oh, this is pretty interesting to see what the land is like. So those spots that are kind of little bit darker, those are higher up. Like it's not flat plains. Okay. So then of course I went down towards Battle Creek and I was like, well, what's it like around here? And look at all the waterways we have in Michigan itself. Okay. There's some different things you can do while you're looking at that, but we're kind of thinking about, so I'm going to click back on the chart from last week. Okay. If this is the chart and we know that the ice caps and glaciers are frozen, so this 0.5% that represents not frozen, right? Liquid water that we can drink because there's no salt in it. This 0.5%, 4 milliliters is groundwater, 3 drops are springs, lakes, and rivers, 10 drops, oh, misspelled that, are the atmosphere. Of those 3 drops, how much is represented by the Great Lakes, do you think? I wanted to go back to here. How much of those 3 drops? So we do some research. How much water is, I don't know how to ask the question, in the Great Lakes compared to the Earth? So we want to know, it's estimated 6 quadrillion gallons of water in the Great Lakes. How much water how much of Earth's water is in the Great Lakes? That's a better question. Okay. So take a look at that. 20% of the world's surface fresh water. So think about all the lakes all around the world, all the springs, all the rivers. The 5 Great Lakes that surround Michigan hold 20% of those 3 drops. So it's probably like 2/3 of a drop, which is a little weird, okay? But we are surrounded by 20% of the Earth's surface fresh water, okay? So like there's clearly a ton of ocean. There's way more ocean than in the Great Lakes, but that's salt water. So we're talking about just fresh water that we find in most lakes, rivers, and springs. So the Great Lakes is about 20%. So then when we head back to our lesson, you're going to make a chart and you've got to put that in there somehow. Water is a necessary resource for all living things on Earth, plants and animals alike, insects, everything. So you're going to use the following information that we used on the chart in a Google Sheet. So you actually have to go to Classroom. Yep, I'm still presenting. And you're going to have to go to this week, the week 24, and go to Science. So you had your Nearpod. I don't understand how people have turned it in. We're not even done. It's 9:30. We just started. Well, didn't just start, but we started 30 minutes ago and we're not finished. And you're not supposed to start it before live session. That's the point of live session, is for me to walk you through it, to answer questions, to guide you, to explain things. So you need to open up the Google Sheets. Now, I want to teach you how to do this at some point. But I think for today, we're going to use the technology, and in the future, I will teach you how to create it yourself. I am pretty excited about this. This is crazy. So remember the other day, I told you that, you know, we have to multiply the decimal by 100 in order to get the percent. There is a shortcut mathematically, but it works every time. Like if you hand multiply by 100, it works every time. That what you do is you take the decimal, and I feel like that's really small. If I can zoom in a little bit. You take the decimal here and you move it 2 times to the right. And so then you have 97.2, which is actually the percentage. And look what happened. So Google Sheets is pretty cool because we set this up ahead of time before I made a copy for you to take the data in the chart here and make a bar graph from it. So I want you to use your skills. I want you to move the decimal 2 times to the right and start filling out your bar graph. All you have to do is enter in column D, you have to enter the amount. And then once you hit enter, it will pop up in your bar graph. So you have some time right now to work on that. You can also hand multiply. You should not need a calculator for this. You can also use the mathematical shortcut of moving the decimal 2 times to the right to get the answer. So you go swoop, swoop, 2 times to the right. And that is multiplying by 100. Okay, also real quick, while you're filling those out, notice we have the Great Lakes here and we had to look it up, okay? So we actually need to do 20% of the 0.5%, okay? Because it's not 20% out of all of the water. It's 20% out of this measured 5 milliliters, okay? Actually, not even 20% of the 5 because you can't use groundwater. We're talking about surface water. So it's 20% of 7/10. Okay, so if you're trying to figure out how much that is, it is 0.14. Okay, so when you bring it over here, whoa, my screen just went bye-bye. There it is, okay. And so then here it is 0.00014, right? So your answer here, if you move the decimal twice, is going to be 0.014. Okay. Mrs. Tubman and I have been talking to you guys about some of this stuff, but quit asking if we're doing a Zoom. If we're doing a Zoom, we're going to tell you and we're going to open it up. What concerns me is that maybe some of you aren't making good choices during the Zoom if you are so like wanting to do it that you ask every single day. And the other thing is when I enter breakout rooms, most of the time you're not talking. There was one group yesterday morning that actually like did what they needed to before I intervened. There was only one group in the afternoon that did what they needed to do before I intervened. Now you are allowed to talk to each other like you would in class, but I don't even see a lot of that happening. Sometimes Cash is good at leading that part. But I don't know what's so important about it unless you're private chatting and not utilizing your time wisely on those things. Okay, I will be checking that your chart is filled out and correct. So make sure you finish that part up. So I accidentally, so slides 7 and 8 are the same thing, and I accidentally did not delete one of them. Because I was using a different resource and then I wanted to bold it and I wanted to make it look different and I wanted it to be on the page with the giraffe. And I forgot to delete it. So it's just a copy, so don't worry about that, okay? Don't forget about your data collection because we're gonna need this information about the sunrise, the moonrise, and the shadows coming up in future lessons, all right? So make sure you're working on that. And we've already done the graph and stuff. So really there is nothing else left to this lesson unless you have not completed the parts that you need to. What questions do you have? Okay. I feel like I gave you kind of a lot yesterday for a half day. So I'm going to let you guys go early to get your work done. Make sure you have worked on your missing assignments. Don't leave yet until I'm done talking, please, because some of you do that and it's very rude, especially since we are technically still in class time. Many of you, I have it written down, did not do the English lesson from February 11th, which was nonfiction lesson 9, where you were supposed to revise your peanut butter and jelly writing. So I have a list of who did it, and then I also have it marked down who did not do it. They did it the first time, but they did not go back and revisit it and re-edit it like I asked you to do within the lesson on, I'll type that in the chat in case you're visual like me, February 11th. I sent you an email about it this morning. Very few people actually, oh, I spelled fiction wrong. Typing too fast. Very few people actually that got the email this morning actually had it done. You might have done it the first time, but this was something you had to go back and revise. Now that we've learned about chronological order, you were supposed to go back and make your steps more thorough. And then the last thing that I need, Lanaya, you're all set, is who wants to volunteer to do the peanut butter and jelly flip grid. So in order to volunteer, you have to have peanut butter, jelly, and bread available at home to complete sometime by like Friday. Okay. So you can type your name in the chat if you want to volunteer. I will send you a set of peanut butter and jelly instructions. You're not doing your own. Okay. You're going to do somebody else's. And you want to act like you have amnesia, like you have memory loss and you do not remember how to make a peanut butter and jelly at all when you read these instructions, okay? So you're going to take it literally step by step exactly how they do it. And here's what I think I'll do. I'm writing down the volunteer names. I will send you someone's instructions, but when I do that, I'm going to post a sample video of myself so that you understand how literal I mean. So I have Lanaya, Wyatt, Parker, Michaela, Ryder. If you want your name down, just put it in the chat. If you change your mind, you can email me later. It can be anybody. I mean, it could be the whole class. I can't make this, like I can't force this to be something because I'm not providing you the peanut butter, jelly, and bread. But I would love it if you participated. Yes, Lanaya, I will email your mom. Okay, so anybody else willing to make peanut butter and jelly on a flip grid by following someone else's instructions? Oh, Bentley, I did get you, sorry, and Ryder. Madison. Okay, like I said, then I guess if you change your mind and you are interested, let me know. Thank you, Cash, I got you. And you guys can go a little bit early and get some work done.